Welcome back to Joke in the Box. I'm Rashad Milligan. We are joined here by a very, very special guest. We have comedy royalty in the building. We have Chaunte Wayans. Chaunte, how are you doing today?
Come on now. First of all, let's talk about that fire logo that y'all got right there. That was dope. That was very cute.
Man, we got to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really enjoy your work and everything. I think my intro to you was you ironically talking about your family because it was probably like the draw was like the name, and then you're like, oh, let me see, like she's funny, and then
Yeah.
like the first joke I see, you're talking about like.
Oh, oh, you gonna leave me on the
No,
screen?
no, 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 no. That was my fault. That was my fault. It's a new system and everything like that. New system. You still getting used to it. You still
What
getting
was
used
it?
to it.
What was it?
Yeah, yeah, no, no. Forgive the production quality. I'm learning how I'm trying to host. You
I'm
click
not.
on it. You know what
Everybody, look. They took away every staff member and left you.
I'm
You gotta do
saying? But yeah, like I said, that was my intro to you. You just talking about that double life of going with over to your cousins in LA and California and then coming back home and everything to like the normal. Just looking at your mom like you can't tell a joke.
Yeah, very, very real life, man. I sold some stuff that they gave me, to help out with the bills and stuff, and it was just very interesting to live that double life. Very.
No, no, 100%. I bet. And like just from the time on, from then, like kind of your growth or whatever, just climbing the own ranks and leaving your own legacy. I guess just like what did that mean to you entering comedy, of like not being in the shadows of your last name.
I think the crazy thing is I've accepted it now growing up, right? And I think in the beginning, the reason why I wanted to separate myself so much is because they were such legends that people didn't try to get to know me. So it made me angry that it was like, hey, I'm here too. I'm trying to do stuff, and I want to keep that legacy going. But I just think it was just so much as far a way of getting to know me that it just made me really upset. And now, I look at how people start empires and businesses and so forth and so on, and they're not passing it necessarily to other people. They built this for generations to come, which is generational wealth. And I love the fact that they opened up these doors for me because it has done exactly that. And then what I do when I walk in those doors, like you said, the name pulls you in, and then you're like, okay, what you got?
No, no, 100%, 100%. And I also just kind of want to ask you, like, on the side note too, like randomly one night probably over the past summer I was just like thinking about the family, your family, and I'm trying to look up stuff to like learn more about the origin story and see where it's told, because we have Unsung and all these black shows, and I don't think there's been a documentary, like a major documentary done on a family. It, like, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, and then if I'm not, then like what's going on.
Well, YouTube has definitely made documentaries for us. But it all started a long time ago in slavery. The first Wayans comedian in slavery who got freed, and then still went back to slavery. That was the first bit of comedy for us. But no, we don't really have you know what? I think Oprah did something just talking about the projects we grew in, which is Fulton Housing and kind of that life. But it started with, the two grandparents, and they birthed 10 kids, 10 hilarious and very talented kids, and five of them made it. And then they just kept spitting out more of us.
No, I got you. I got you. I want to ask you, kind of like before we just get to you, and respect to you and everything like that. You guys birthed Jim Carrey's career. Do you feel like the Wayne's family gets that credit for birthing one of the bigger movie stars of the '90s and 2000s?
I do. I think that people that know where he came from. I think Jim Carrey has said it himself. But Jim Carrey, when you think about credits and what you give him, like Jim Carrey is one of them people that just needed to be seen. And fortunately, I admire Keenan's brain so much because he just knows how to find talent and people that don't sometimes. You know what I mean? So I think they get a little bit of credit. I just think it's because we have these new generations that just know Jim Carrey for what they see.
No, 100%, 100%. And now going back to you and your story, like after kind of that initial introduction to you a couple years ago, excuse me, I've always seen you on these reels, like seeing a few of your jokes on reels and stuff like that. With social media and kind of the internet, excuse me, there would be certain jokes, the entire joke would be on YouTube. Now it's going to where it's TikTok and Instagram reels, where it's like a minute and a half to make people laugh, reel them in, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to know for you, like, did that affect the way that you write at all? Of like trying to write tighter jokes or anything so it fits on an Instagram reel or anything like that? Like, how has social media changed the way you kind of approach that?
No, I think the crazy thing is, people are just into crowd work a lot, or people, or we've transformed the annoying people in the audience, hecklers and stuff, into content and crowd work. So I think a lot of comedians are starting to not worry about hecklers as much. But no, I write my jokes the way I've pretty much been writing my jokes. I just think you have to tighten the jokes a lot of times because you have attention spans. You know what I mean? So people got about 15 seconds, and if there's not even 5 seconds, and if there's not a ha in there or a giggle, they're gonna move on to the next video. And you like, man, this whole 5 minutes is hilarious. So it's more about the attention span to the audience.
How did you get that timing? Like, because you just did it there. What was it, like 2 minutes ago when I asked you about like the origins of your family and having a
Yeah.
documentary and you told the slave joke off top? Like, where
Yeah.
did that timing, like, how was that time, I guess, training to get that timing?
I think one, you got to know, you can't go too long. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we got to get into this interview and stuff like that. But the crazy thing is, Keenan did a DNA thing. I forget the name of the show, but he did that, and that's where we found out that joke. So when you mention the origin, it just origin. That's the furthest I know from the backstory, and let's see if it worked. It could be a hit or miss sometimes, though.
100%. That time it hit. That time it hit for me.
Yeah.
Like, I laughed. So congratulations. But just I guess like growing up, trying to decide which career path to go, like I think it's an obvious thing. Like, you kind of go, like you say, to California in the summers and see mansions and this and cars and stuff like that. But what was it that made you decide, okay, this is where I'm going to go?
Well, it was definitely none of that. I actually hated. When I say hate, I love that they were getting a recognition, but I was so young to understand what was really happening. I'm meeting Michael Jordan, and I'm trying to think of Denzel Washington. I'm meeting so many people that, like, I knew I loved Jada Pickett, but obviously that was my first lady crush. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna know who Jada Pickett is. Everybody else was kind of like, oh, that's cool. We get to hang out with Michael Jordan. Meanwhile, everybody would go crazy over it. But I didn't like how we used to go out and have dinners. And then when we go have dinners, because they, now obviously not living with us. So this is the time we get to spend with them. And then a lot of that dinner time was, hey, can I get a picture? Or, and then they got the Polaroids. So that was back in the day when you had to wind up the film to take the picture. So you just sitting here with cold food. Like, could y'all hurry up so I could chill with my uncles? But skipping to moving to Cali, my other interests are technology. So I went to school for a little bit for computer science, and then I was still young and doing things I should be doing. So I moved to Cali and I got to work on Scary Movie and My Wife and Kids, and I figured that I could bring technology and this industry together. And then I realized I hate sitting in a dark room just editing and so forth and so on. And I went to a comedy show and I saw my cousin get on stage, Lil Damon, and another comedian, and I went home and couldn't stop thinking of these two jokes. And I went back to an open mic that night. I mean, the next day, performed, and they invited me to come back for the later night. So, um, to make a long story short, I realized that this was a voice. I got to have a voice in front of a lot of people that I felt like I didn't have off stage.
Wow, that's crazy. Like the journey and everything that you took to get here, of going through tech and going through school, and like you said, things that you weren't supposed to be into. So like it's like the streets and school, and like and then it turned into comedy. Like it was just like I don't know. That's a very interesting kind of way of getting there, of the
Yeah.
journey. I guess for any 18, 20, 21 year old watching this right now, who's kind of you know they don't kind of know which direction they want to go. They kind of like this. They kind of like engineering. They kind of like the money they're making from doing this on the side. Like, what is the advice that you have for them that's just looking for general direction?
I think my advice would be like don't give up on what you're doing. Like if you wanted to be an engineer and you're into that, I think especially with technology, I was able to put that away. But also when we had the pandemic and certain things started happening, then we became a one man or one woman show. All of that worked for me. So and then this also falls into if you're bored at it, move on. But when you're 18, 21, you have a time to live. The biggest advice I would give is get financially educated. And I think when you're financially educated, meaning just because you're 21 doesn't mean you got to go out to every party, doesn't mean you got to spend all this money on dates and traveling and so forth and so on. Learn how to build that. So when you hit 30, and that's when the real party and all those things start. As you're still trying to figure out stuff, at least you're not hung up on, man, I got to do this because of the money.
That's great advice. Speaking about the money and everything, there's something that not just 18, 19, 20, 21, or 29, 30,
Yeah.
40, 41,
How much
50.
money I spent for no reason. I just, you again enjoy life because that's what you're supposed to do. But to start putting $5 away, $10, 20. You know what I mean? But do that so you don't have to, it doesn't have to be so hectic for you.
Staying, I guess, along those lines, because you incorporate like a lot of that kind of side of you, like in your routines and in your stand-ups. Why do you think America is so homophobic?
Ah, I wouldn't say America is so homophobic. I would say that listen, when you live a certain way for years, I think it's hard to adjust to a new world, especially you think about people that's been on this earth for 50, 60 years plus, you know what I mean? And it's like this is just all they knew. It's the same thing with, computers and where we are in a lot of areas now that people just don't understand how many grandmas, how many mothers we got that's like, I don't know how to FaceTime you and do those things. But when you involve the church and you involve, again, just what society has up there, I think it just puts fear. It puts fear into people for different reasons. I know the people that question, why do I want to go down this route, was mainly because of what's been happening on the streets and people getting killed and, the violence. So they just want you safe. But I think a huge thing is misunderstanding and change. And people are afraid of change.
But the thing is, like gay people not new, right? So it's like that's the thing. Like, okay, so I guess yeah. What I'll leave it at that. What's your response to
No,
that? Gay
but
people not
but
new.
and I listen. I love my community. I love where we are. I love that we get to stand down and speak on this. So I'm not downing. I'm not agreeing with saying that the whole, again, I'm going, I don't think the whole world is homophobic. But I think that we went from 0 to 100 real quick. And I think that, again, it's trying to understand each other. That I wish people could just have conversations because I don't want you to be mad at me that I don't know your pronouns. But again, I should also ask what your pronouns are because that's where we are. So you think about change, you think about the abruptness of it, you think about people getting canceled for it and all these things. Again, we've been fighting for a long time. And yes, this is not new, but when you go from 0 to 100, it's just like, oh, I can't even adjust to this.
I definitely agree with you on that, especially I feel like with the entire trends element of it. Like, yeah, there's always been cross dressers, but I feel like to that element of people going through with the surgeries and with the pronouns, especially, I believe those are new, and those are the things that it's like what's going on. I don't know, like what the and why I should do this and all of those things and stuff like that. That's just and people aren't open to it. They aren't open to even have that conversation and stuff. I guess just how has that kind of been for you, or even like when you were younger, right? When you were first like trying to, if there was a family member, especially we're black, like
Yeah.
let's just keep it being like so, like just how was that with family members who might not have understood or still don't understand to this day? Like how was that kind of dynamic?
Well, I think fortunately for me, even with like laughter and stuff like that, the family finding jokes and everything, I think they don't, they're very supportive. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses in my family, they don't shun me. They don't do any of that. They might not attend certain things or celebrate certain things with me, but there's always been love in my corner. I think career wise, it's been hard because people are trying to adjust, trying to make me something, the image that they want me to be, and what's been working. But I knew who I always was, as far as like, I just had this feeling and I knew, and I'm not afraid to put myself out there like that, which, I think hindered me in a lot of ways. But, just to clear it, like with trans and stuff like that, like we got to understand that people are able to live the way they want to live. And I try to tell people all the time, like if these people are happy, let them be happy. Whatever we got to deal with God, judgment, anything like that will be for us. It has nothing to do with your life. Nobody's trying to harm you or anything like that. We're just trying to love ourselves and find out what that means.
100%. And I feel like that was beautifully stated and stuff like that. Did you have a wedding?
I did have a wedding. I sure
So,
did.
so when you say attend certain celebrations and stuff, like, was that one of the things? Like, you have family members that didn't attend?
Yeah, yeah, there were certain people that didn't attend, and but they did, hit me in a text, or when I seen them later on, there was love there. You know what I mean? Still got gifts.
How did that make you feel? What were you cool because you was like, I still got gifts and I still got that love. You just didn't show it physically, or was it like, dang, bro, like,
I don't listen, as long as you are not coming in harm and violence. I accept who everybody is, because that's something that you have to deal with. If it doesn't sit well with you, it don't sit well. And a lot of like people who go to church or Kingdom Hall and stuff like that, it's just their way of what they're learning. You know what I mean? So as much as I would have loved them to be there, you got to understand, my wedding was filled with nothing but love. I knew probably three people in my wife's side, and she knew who she knew on my side, but both of them together from New York, rowdy, and all that stuff. When I tell you, after we did our vows and put the rings on, we partied from, I say, 6 to 11, and it was nonstop. So that's the stuff that I look at. That's the stuff that I see, and I know the people that I know why people didn't show up, and I'm okay with that.
hey, I feel it. I respect it. Because I don't know. Me personally, if I was in that predicament, I would have been like, dang, you ain't right. You know what I'm saying? I would have felt like a little way on the side. But
It's
just
learning.
moving.
You can't change how somebody. That's what I'm learning about setting boundaries. Like I don't hold my friends to. Sorry to cut you off, but I don't hold my friends to not attending a birthday party, or not being able to make something, and they could have absolutely no excuse other than I'm tired and want to stay home, because I get that. Dealing with my recovery and alcoholism and stuff like that, there's places that I say I'm gonna show up to, and then I don't want to. I show up and I leave because the vibe is not sitting well with me. And in order for me to be my best self, I have to take care of me. So I understand.
No, no, that part I definitely understand, and I had to tell my other friends that too. It's like you can't be there for everybody,
Mm.
and if you feel like you're gonna disappoint them because you don't show up, like in reality, for 5 minutes at the party, someone will be like, "Where's Jane?" and they'll be
Yeah,
like, "Oh, they got work again," and you're like, "Oh, dang."
yeah,
Well, let's eat the cake, so it's like, like if people are gonna keep moving, like it's not that big of a deal to
yeah,
everybody, and everybody understands because everybody's got their own stuff that they're going through.
yeah. And
Um,
know what counts. You know what I mean? Some people might not show up, but they'll check on my mental. They'll check see how I'm doing. I know people that show up everywhere because they want to be a part of the scene, but never make sure I'm okay when things are bad. You know,
one
or in
hundred
general.
percent, 100%. You said a word right there. Like you said with your alcoholism, we run out of time here, but just last few questions. Without your alcoholism and your recovery through that, just like what really got you through that time, and what do you want to say to anybody who's dealing with addiction or a habit right now that they're trying to break?
I think, because I'm still in recovery, and I'm always going to be in recovery. But it's been on and off this year. I think the truth is the advice that I would give is that if you might feel alone and you might not know, there's different avenues, but there is help out there. There are people who are going through the same things or have went through the same things or been through worse things. And if you got another opportunity to wake up, if you get a second chance at life after you've damaged your body, um, you should always be trying to find that help. I think that, a lot of us feel like we're the only ones and we can't get through depression or suicide or anything like that. And I am one of the people to attest to you can. And with the people around, the help and the type of programs that are out there for you, um listen, it's well worth it. You deserve to live and you have a purpose in life, so don't give up on yourself.
Chaunte, that's the next thing I wanted to ask you about. When we lost Jack Knight last year, and just like things like that, that always kind of irked me. Like Jack really got me because like he was like my age. You know what I'm saying? Teddy, it wasn't the same situation, but I just interviewed him like a couple months right before that happened. With all these things, and then you can obviously go to Robin Williams, et cetera, et cetera. But like, why is that such a thing in the comedic space and in the comic space?
Because you don't know what's real or not, and a lot of times we laugh at it, but it's a lot of trauma. And the funny thing is, like, when I meet people like me, the trauma is very emotional for us. It's very sensitive. So there's a lot of people who can go, man, get over that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody live with life. But a lot of people are just sensitive to it and want to show love and want to, live the way I guess we really should be living. But society or people around you make you feel smaller than that and go, that's just not how life is. I think, the craziest thing is you could be the biggest person and be the loneliest out of all, because you just think about, like, what if I'm in that dark space? What if this happens? And um, I'm not the Robin Williams. I'm not the Chaunte Wayans anymore. I've had plenty of friends being sober, and in this past year, when I did pick back up, I've lost a lot of friends, and that was an abandonment. That was I always say this to people, but you don't really know if somebody loves you or is really loyal to you until shit get bad. I don't care how long you've been in a relationship. I look at people getting divorced. I look at a lot of things and I go, well, that shows a true character when they're in the court system and when they're doing those things. So it's tough, man. It's tough because you feel like nobody understands you, and that's the hardest thing to get through.
I want to get to one more kind of like thing
Okay,
that
come on, baby. I'm
all
your
right,
yo.
all right. I'm gonna go one more. So,
Yeah.
for I feel like because this is so important,
Yeah.
relapse. So once you relapse, what do you tell that person once they relapse? Because that could be the one that you can. It's easy to be our toughest critic. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can go on the road to recovery. It's easy to say, yeah, I used to deal with this. I used to deal with this. When you're dealing with it, you're quiet about it. And when you relapse, you definitely quiet about it. And you're beating yourself up behind closed doors.
Hmm.
So for those people who are dealing with relapse or they just fall into, excuse me, a time of relapse, what's your words to them?
The words is like you got people that goes there's no judgment, and there is literally they say that this is a part of recovery, man, and the truth is, as long as you're making efforts, all that other stuff is out the window. There's a community that's there that you could reach out to for help, and I promise you there's no judgment, man, because a lot of us have been there already.
Chaunte, I appreciate the time so much. I'm sorry for running over time.
Nah,
Uh,
man, I love this.
oh, okay, great, great. Well, I do want to ask you, what are three reasons Black people should be laughing in 2023?
Three.
Three reasons Black people should be laughing in 2023.
Damn. Cause white people getting locked up. You know what I'm saying? We get to, first of all, we unite on social media. We taking badges, you know what I mean? Them Karens gotta apologize for being racist. That's one of the things. The other things is honestly laugh and love about is that I feel like the families are building back up. I feel like we're finding more two parents in the house. We're finding people getting married and coming together. So that's definitely something to celebrate. And I think I think we are becoming more aware as a culture and just trying to be our best selves while paying more attention to the community and helping out in there. So let's laugh at our success. Okay, y'all.
I think that was good enough. That was good enough. We roll with that. We roll with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Of the white people getting locked up, the
They get,
things that are going on, and the black. It's a good time for a black. I mean, I saw the two-parent household stat just the other day. So like,
yeah. And I think we've always kind of had that, but I think that, I think through, even though I danced to it through a lot of like the hip hop and how things have changed, I think people are just growing at with education and spiritually, and with whomever your God is, and your higher power and stuff like that. I think we've just been coming together, or just like I said, becoming aware and teaching the community more things. Shout out to like people like the New Era. I don't know if you've seen them in Chicago, I believe, or Detroit, but there's these group of brothers and kings that staying outside of gas stations and train stations to make sure the community is traveling and getting home safe.
nah, that's dope. Shout out to the new era. Thanks for putting me on. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
sure when, what I'm saying. So we can interview them next. Everything like that. Spotlight
it's
them.
fire. Yeah.
But like, just what do you have coming up next? Where can people follow you on social media? All that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a New World Disorder tour. Got this hour cracking. So first and foremost, if you are on any social media, all my social media is at C Wayans. That's CWAYANS, because y'all be spelling it all types of ways. But follow me there. Check out the tour dates I got coming on. Again, this is the New World Disorder tour, and most importantly, just have a great life on purpose, man.
Conte, we appreciate the word so much. It's always great to laugh, but
Yeah.
the important discussion we had, we talked so much about life today, and I think it's so many gems that people can really pull away from this conversation that's going to help a lot of people. So thank you.
Hey, thank you, Rashad. I appreciate you.
All right, and until next time, I'm Rashad Milligan for Joke in the Box. Rolling out. We are out. Please take care of yourselves.